Okay, we're live for Wednesday, October 8th. I'm just checking my LinkedIn so I can make sure that I can see all the comments and questions if they come in from different sources. So give me a moment. This takes some bandwidth to get all this operational here. So thanks for your patience. And then I want Facebook open as well. Some people comment there. And then today we're going to do Q&A. We're going to do Q&A for all your business questions. It's really fun, but also hard to go over, some of the questions and answers because businesses are a different size and different scale, and that's okay. And so that's where I love just to preface my remarks about depending on what size your business is. So it's like if you're, I was on a private equity call and we're talking about a business that's billions of dollars in revenue. So then it's like, okay, well, has different answers than some of the startups that are, pre-revenue. That's a good way. That's the way to say that, right? Pre-revenue. So they're working on getting their very very first order or contract or whatever the case may be, and so they're pre-revenue. So some of those questions and answers just vary depending on what you're trying to do. Some businesses are family owned, and there's different things you want to talk about from a succession standpoint in getting your children or the next generation ready to take over the business. So that matters. And then it's like, well, I don't have kids, and I don't have a strong leader. Oh, so now you got to figure out how do I succession plan by bringing an outsider in. So that's why I try to preface a lot of my remarks and answers based on what size company we might be talking about. So that's kind of where that comes in as a little bit of background. And then, okay, we're live here on LinkedIn. Sorry, that took a minute. So I maxed out I tell everyone to turn off their iPads and everything like that when I'm doing this because I got 3 live sessions going at the same time. So while we wait for questions to come in on the different streams, what I want to do is just kind of give you guys a preview into the book that I just finished writing it, and now we're waiting for the editors to do their piece. We've got some graphics that we're working on as well, but the title was a joke actually at Gale, where we said the first 100 million is the hardest. And the joke being is that we hit 200 million, 300 million, 400 million in pretty rapid succession just because the pandemic was hot and heavy at that point, and the app was cool and no one was doing anything like this. So it was just innovative in the time in an industry that doesn't really innovate that much. So you have all those things kind of coming together, which made the joke being, well, it took oh gosh, how many years was it? 2019. So I guess it was like 3 or 4 years to get to 100 million, and then 6 months or something like that to get to 200, and then 300 was 6 months after that. And so that was the joke, was the first 100 million is the hardest. It took all that time to build the rails to be able to support it. Customer service, sales, recruiting, a little bit more recruiting on top of that recruiting. And then of course the technology being the backbone of all that stuff. So that's where the book is, but it's a lot about hyper growth. I believe that it can transcend besides being outside the staffing industry. It was written from a staffing perspective, but I believe that the concepts can be applicable in other industries. And I'm a big fan of reading other industry books to say what's working in some other industry. Can I apply that to my industry, my business, my company to move the needle and to innovate in my own space? And so now even the Gale app was really the Uber-like model for healthcare staffing, which no one had done it in 2016 at any scale yet. And so that's where we had first mover advantage for just taking the same concept of being able to book a person and make a two-sided marketplace with mobile app technology, and then scaling it. That's where a lot of people don't take it to the next level, is saying, okay, now that we got it working in our backyard, how do we go and make this into something bigger? And at Gale, we never really looked at the revenue. It was a joke. We just said, let's go book one more clinician. Let's go to one more metro. Well, why not go to Philadelphia? Why not try Atlanta? Let's go. And we were just having fun. It was just the fun of growing and helping more people and more patients and more residents. And at the time, my grandfather was in Savannah, Georgia. And so I'm the COO of Gale Healthcare Solutions, this rapidly scaling healthcare startup. And he's in an ALF my grandmother's paying a lot of money for him to be at this place. And she said, Aaron, if I didn't come today, he wouldn't have had lunch. And I was like, Oh my goodness. So we figured it out, we helped them with some CNAs, but it's like, okay, guys, this is a problem. And so I got mad about it. I got just frustrated that my own family couldn't get care. And unfortunately or fortunately, it had to be my family for me to just really feel it. But you have so many stories that as I talk to nurses, how they got into healthcare, they took care of some family member. That's how a lot of people got into healthcare in the first place, was they started caring for others, or they saw a nurse care for their loved one, and they just got the nursing bug. And that's the story I heard over and over and over again. And then when I was at Gale, you have a lot of people with all these kinds of stories saying, wow, we get to help nurses have jobs. They can go take care of patients, and everyone cared. The care level was through the roof, because we don't want to be those people in the nursing homes that don't have enough aides helping us eat our lunch, or even the ALFs that are paying a lot of it out of pocket and still don't have enough staff. So that's where we were trying to innovate, trying to move the needle and help solve a problem. So one principle that for your business and for your industry is to say, what problem is there that's not solved yet? And it just like look at it and say, okay, and this is the hard part to do for someone that's already in the day to day, is to take a 10,000 foot view and take a step back and say, if money weren't an object and I had all the time in the world, what would make this run better, more efficiently? And you have to ask those questions. Now you say, okay, well, can we automate that? Do we have to automate it? Or is it just a process change? What is needed to actually get that preferred future? Sometimes it is a lot of technology, but now with AI and the cost of development coming down, you might be able to build an MVP or a prototype even for low money or no money, like less than, and I'm saying low money, but 15K. And if you're a coder person, or you're more inclined, use Replit, use these AI development apps just to get it clickable, to show to a customer and say, customer, this is what I'm going to build, or this actually kind of works a little bit. Will you try this? Because I'm trying to help solve your problem, whatever that problem may be, if it's a technology-based solution. If the customer likes it and says, yes, this works, let's do it. Well, now you have more confidence to say, okay, I'm going to invest a few grand or find a partner, an investor to help build the prototype of whatever that solution is. And that you have to take a risk. At some point, we're all business people, but I can't guarantee what's going to work. But I say, hey, this is a calculated risk, but you're going to invest 50 grand or 100 grand, but it might turn into $100 million company. Oh, well, if you have 100 grand, if you have someone else who has 100 grand and they would prefer to have, a fraction of 100 million, then maybe it's not that big a deal. So it's like, oh, well, I was just going to go buy a boat, but let's try your idea. And so you might find these high net worth individuals that want to fund it, or you have your own money and you want to fund it and go do the project. You could have the client fund it. Sometimes the client's big enough to say, hey, if you build it, I'll go in with you and I'll build it, and then we can license it together. I've done all those different scenarios, because at some point it's like, who's got the money to support this deal? Once you figure that out, then it's like, okay, I need to build it, and there's people that can help you with that part. And then you want to scale it. That's where I come in, of course, is helping you say, okay, we got it to making a little bit of revenue. How do we help it scale? How do we help it go to that next level? And that's the part I really, really love. And, I've helped now a lot of companies do that. I'm also mentoring at USF, University of South Florida, University of Tampa, some bright young college students that are having really innovative ideas, but they just don't know how to go from 0 to 1, or from 1 to 100, right? Like from a iteration standpoint. And so that's where a trusted guide who's climbed the mountain and willing to pour into people, that's what I do. And I think even too, I do a lot of LinkedIn, I do a lot of social media. I love the just making this content available. I think this content should be available, and you should hear all the mistakes that I've made. Some of the wins, there's some wins there, but then you can refine and say, okay, well, maybe I want to ping Aaron and ask that question to say, will this help my journey, or will it slow me down if I take this path versus this path? And I don't know if there's always a wrong answer. It just may not be it's like the least wrong, but because all paths are hard. You got to climb a mountain. So there's not like the elevator necessarily. Even if you have unlimited money, you can still spend a lot of money doing something that you shouldn't have done. So I would caution you to say, well, if you have all the money in the world, you'll be successful. I don't know if that's the case. You still have to iterate, you still have to try, you still have to get customer feedback, incorporate customer feedback, and find all those places that you can better your tool, your product, or your service to go and help your customers, and then make an impact in the ecosystem that can provide generational wealth for you, your family, and even hopefully some of your team members. Since we just talked about the revenue side so much, and the book being called The First 100 Million is the Hardest, I'll give you the piece of the book that says, it's not all about the money. In the staffing industry, revenue is just like that's how we measure score. It just, we should say how many associates do you have working? Oh, I got 1,000 people working. We should promote that number, but unfortunately, at all the conferences, it's revenue. So, if you're doing $1 billion of revenue, oh my gosh, that's a unicorn company. It's great. If you're doing, 100 million, that's very, very respectable in the staffing industry. So again, it just comes back to, that's just a number that we measure, score, and not, I don't even want to say success. That's just how we keep score, to say, wow, you're making an impact. You got, several thousand people working to get to that number. I messed up my screens for 1 second. Let me just quickly collapse that back down so I can see my LinkedIn stream. So again, if you have business questions, go ahead and throw them in the chats or one of the streams. It's all here. And with that, I'll take a quick sip of coffee while the computer catches up. This is decaf, so I've fully caffeinated for the day a long time ago. All right, too many screens. I love pushing the capacity of this thing. I'm gonna get 2 computers. That's what I've told my wife. I was like, Madeline, I need to get 2 computers, and then they can both go really fast. Okay, we're back. So, although a business needs to make money, it's not all about the money. The money is a tool to make jobs, to provide an income for yourself, for your family, for your team, and then also to make a positive impact on the community. And the thing I loved, one of the things I loved a lot of things about Gale, was that we had so many jobs that we were able to create in Tampa. And we had a wonderful work environment where we were just being able to get people. We had people that were moms that wanted to get back in the workforce, that we can give a shot, right? We can give you a shot. We can give you a break. And because there's just, you want to be learned, you want to be teachable, coachable. You want to help us with our mission. It resonates with you. And I can show you how to use an app. I can show you how to do X, Y, and Z tasks. If you're teachable, coachable, those are things that I can't always show you that if you're not teachable, coachable. So those character traits matter a lot in our onboarding, because no one had experience with a mobile app, right? So you can't hire someone from the staffing industry in 2016 and 2017 that had mobile app staffing experience. It didn't exist. So we had to go by, what are your character traits? Are you teachable? Are you coachable? Are you a team player that we can work with? If all those answers are yes, then it made the rest of it easy. So that's where people in Tampa, were able to buy their first house. We're able to buy a second car. We'd be able to send their kids to whatever school they wanted to. All those little things that actually matter. We were able to do, humanitarian projects around the Bay Area, give out bags for the homeless, build houses, all that stuff, because we had a big team, a big company, so we could afford to give people a day off. We could afford to give people time to go do those things. And I would encourage you to look at your structure to say, where can we have some of these benefits? I know it's hard when you're under like $2 million, $3 million to do all those things, but there's some low cost things that you can do. Or even if it's on a Saturday and you need that work time, and that is what it is. Hey guys, anyone that wants to, we're going to get together Saturday morning to go do a volunteer project, and then everyone can cut out at 3 on Friday. Oh, cool. Okay. So you don't have to show up on Saturday, but I can give you 2 hours on a Friday to cut out, or 2 hours on a Tuesday, because Friday is busy in the staffing industry. So it just depends on some of those things you can do. What you're hearing about revenue is actually culture, and they make culture, you actually have to have leadership. So the biggest thing that the book really talks about a lot is leadership. To build a $100 million company, you have to grow as a leader. If you're the leader of that organization, if you're not the leader of the organization, you should still be growing to help lead up in the organization and add value. And so that everyone can row the boat, everyone can lift the log, everyone can do what it takes to climb the mountain. And so that you're not being an anchor, but you're being the elevator and the the expert climber to help everyone get there, right? So are you the cheerleader? Are you the tool person that you've got all the tools, you could help us, be more efficient on the way up, but you don't want to be the detractor that's being the anchor on the way down, right? That's not useful. It's not helpful, especially in the early days when you're trying to build something. Just, I'm sorry, you got explained this. We explained this opportunity to you incorrectly. Sorry, it doesn't work. So, and that happens, unfortunately. It just happens. We're all humans, and some days you catch someone on a bad day or whatever. All that stuff happens, but we can talk through it. We can lead through it, and that's going to be important as you grow your businesses to grow as a leader. And so, I'm a big fan of personal development, both professionally and personally, to make sure you're working on your whole self, to be able to be healthy, to be able to show up in the office and show up for work. Maybe it's virtual, of course, but being able to be there. If you're sick all the time, if you've got health problems, you can't be in the fight. So you got to maintain your health to be in the fight. You got to make sure you have those breaks. And I got a big break coming up next week, so I'm excited about that. But when you're in the fight, be in the fight. And then when you're off, try to disconnect. Staffing is one of the hardest industries to disconnect, because now, especially nurse staffing is 24/7. It was the same amount of urgency at 10 p.m. looking for a late call as 3 p.m. It's just less people to help you at 10 p.m. at night, because everyone's already sleeping or off work or just put their phones down. So I did burn myself out doing all that stuff and being so connected for years and years and years. And now it's like, okay, let's get a team member that loves the graveyard shift. There's people out there that say, oh, Aaron, I just love the graveyard shift. I can just handle my stuff. All my introverts were always these graveyard people, and they liked it quiet. They could handle the phone. They had like a radio voice. It's like, okay, you're actually better at this than I'm going to be when I'm tired, logging in at 10 p.m. to go help a customer out. So get fresh people that like that job to do that job, and then you take your time to go do more sales and recruiting and all the other things to drive the top line. So that's my 2 cents there. I'm checking the time, and I'm going to double check all the comments and see if there's any questions that come up from the audience. When will the book be available? The book is going to come out. I'm shooting for late November, maybe December, but I definitely want to get it out before the end of the year so that you can go into 2026 with another tool in your tool belt. I'm not saying that it's going to be brand new topics and concepts, but hopefully it provokes some thought. Hopefully it provokes some ideas to say, okay, I wonder if we can try this, or I wonder if we can stand up a new division, or I wonder if we can pilot something. Go try something. Because what I don't want is this. I don't want you to be at, and I'm just going to use 1.5 million as just like a random number. I don't want you to be at 1.5 million in revenue and then struggling, and you're not making enough money to pay yourself, or you're not able to pay your team well, or you're not able to have decent tools to do a decent job for your customers and your clients. So I'd rather you be at 3 million. I'd rather you just double that business. So now you can pay yourself a decent wage. You can pay all your employees a decent wage. You can offer a little bit of benefits for them. And then, oh, by the way, client, look at all the nice tools that we have to help you do your job better and be improved, have your condition improved by my company being involved. So that's the heart of scaling, is to do a better job, not just scaling for scale's sake. And I think there's scale that can happen and that should happen that's honorable, honest, and above board. And when you have scale that happens that doesn't follow all those things, you can have these companies that are on the news for doing bad things. Don't be that company. Don't scale at all costs and break a lot of laws to get there. I'm not advocating for that either. So I think there's a healthy sweet spot in the middle there where do a good job, grow your company well, grow yourself well, take care of your team, take care of your people. And so that's what the premise of 200%. That's what the premise of the first 100 million is the hardest is about. That's what I hope you walk away from it, is seeing that there is goodness in scaling. There's goodness in growth, both for your business and for yourself. And this is just another tool to help you get there. So I'm excited about it coming out. This will be book number 3 for me. And we'll see if we do any more, but this was a fun one just to get through some of that Gale story, which was amazing to watch. For my 7 years that I was there, we onboarded almost 80,000 nurses. Okay. 80,000. That's a lot of people. And we had almost, at our peak, 600 employees. That's a lot of people. I was officially employee like number 12, and to get to 600 and be the COO of that, we were four different companies. There was and you can actually go by offices. So when we had the first office, that was literally a garage office next to a pet cremation place, which is a whole different story. And then we moved to the middle office, which was pretty good, and we tried to make it work. But then there was the hyperscale office, and so those are different phases of time. And I think you can just look at to see, where is your company going? Where do you want it to go? Just because we scaled Gale doesn't mean you have to hyperscale. I still am a fan of some scale, just so that you can have that margin, that breathing room. And if you don't want to do anything with it, at least you have the capital to go give more. You can go help pay for a new school in Africa, or help something in build a church in Honduras or something like that. So all those things are just other things you get to do with more resources. So that was another cool part of just having ultra scale, was we had more resources to give. We had more resources to do more philanthropy, starting schools, starting foundations, starting scholarship programs and things like that. So some of those things get forgotten as you scale, but at Gale, we didn't forget them. We were actually trying to do more things like that during the hyper growth phase. So I would encourage you that sometimes you look at people that scale the company, you're like, oh, well, they just did it for the money. No, not always. Not always. I think there can be an honorable way to scale, to actually add value, to actually help people improve their condition, both internally in your own company, and then of course our nurses. I vividly remember some of my working homeless nurses in Chicago that would trade kids out. They were living in a minivan. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even understand that existed. I didn't understand, because I'm seeing them get paid. But it's like, well, if you take an Uber to and from work, and then you just worked one shift, that I don't like that math. That you can't afford it. So that's too much Ubering to get to the shift. So it's like, well, can you get a ride? We were going to make a ride share for the nurses, just because it's like, oh my gosh, y'all are spending $100 a shift on Ubers. That's eating into your profit margin for you as a gig nurse. So all these things were just goals that we were trying to get to help our nurses, help do more patient care. And so again, I'm just encouraging you that there can be some solutions that you can think about that, one, help grow your business, but two, help the industry that you're serving and working in. So feel free to connect with me. I'm on all the social medias, all the channels, all the places. LinkedIn's the biggest and the fastest, but I'm other places too. I catch up and do a cleanup, once every other day on Facebook, and we're gonna get TikTok going here in the next 2 weeks. But I want to help. So if you're looking for a fractional executive to link arms, I don't do every single deal. I got to make sure I can add value to it. I'm going to make sure that any war that I choose to fight, I'm going to help win that war. And so it's case by case, and I keep a very low client load for that, just so I can give my focus and energy to it. And then do some coaching, mentoring as well, because maybe you only need to have a couple sessions a month. And I love squeezing those in just to help advance your business. So again, reach out, DM me, and I'm available. I want to help you your business grow. Aaron, AKA the Captain. I'm going to sign out here unless someone double check for any more questions that came in on the socials. Nothing at the moment, but I'll probably do these once a month or something like that, just to pop on, see if there's questions about growing, scaling. We're about to finish 2025. So you've got to really ask yourself hard questions to say, did I hit my goals? Am I on track? You should know already if you're going to be on track or off track for November. And I practice what I preach. My team right now is in the middle of a 100-day plan. And I am like, okay, guys, are we going to hit it? And we're going to hit it. We're going to hit it. So I can already see it, but I'm like, let's keep going just to make sure, but we're going to hit it. So cool. Okay. We got people pinging in on Facebook. All right. I'm just going to give a like there. Great. Awesome. I didn't know if David had a question, but good. Awesome. Okay. I hope everyone has a great Wednesday afternoon and grow your business. Talk to y'all later.